Tonight on The Roast, Tony Abbott has another gaffe and the coalition changes its preferences to put Labor above the Greens. But first, let's check in with Mark Humphries for an update on everything else that's happened on the campaign trail over the last 24 hours.
In the words of a sex addict, it's hump day. The Labor Party's Tasmanian branch has refused to take down a billboard suggesting that a vote for independent MP Andrew Wilkie is actually a vote for Tony Abbott. Andrew Wilkie has described the billboard as defamatory, while I describe it as grammatically poor. Vote Wilkie equals get Abbott? That's not a sentence. It's not even maths. It's also confusing for Abbott supporters who might now think that he's got two candidates in the seat of Denison. Even Tony Abbott is confused.
Tony Abbott was asked by a reporter to name the Liberal Party's federal candidate who will take on Andrew Wilkie in the seat of Denison.
I'm afraid you've got me on that one.
And who is the Liberal Party candidate for the seat of Denison? I'll give you a clue, Tony. It rhymes with Denison. It's Tanya Denison. Her name is the name of the seat. If only the same were true for the Victorian seat of Batman. It's pronounced Batman, but it seems funnier if I say Batman. Meanwhile, hide your cab charges and ignore his Snapchat requests, because Peter Slipper is considering recontesting his seat at Fisher, stating he's potentially a candidate. Well, before you potentially embarrass yourself again, Peter, let me read you a cautionary tale. It's called The Little Slipper That Shouldn't. Once upon a time, the little slipper pissed off his own party by accepting Labor's offer to become Speaker of the House and then insisting on performing his duties as Dracula. Then he weirded everyone out by comparing female genitalia to muscles. And finally, Little Slipper joined the Palmer United Party. And after 7 hours, the Palmer United Party voted Little Slipper out of their party. Even Clive Palmer thought the guy was a risk. And that's why the book is called The Little Slipper That Shouldn't. Meanwhile, Liberal Party candidate James Diaz, best known for his ability to say nothing, has been given a second chance to say something.
Do you want to just have a chance to redeem yourself and run through the 6 points, Mr. Diaz?
Do you know the 6 points or not?
But before you judge him for being unable to answer the question, remember, he's just following the party line. But James Diaz doesn't just avoid journalists' questions, he doesn't even answer Tony Abbott's questions.
James, how are you, mate?
Very
Great
good,
to see you.
very good.
Thank
Good
you
to see
so
you.
much for coming here today. Really appreciate it, mate. How's it going?
Come back, James, we need to know how it's going. And finally, the government's Treasury and Finance departments have released their pre-election economic and fiscal outlook, or PEFO, or finance figures you'll never actually look at. The ALP are now pressuring the coalition to cost their election promises using these new figures. But there's some hesitation from the coalition. As The Age reports, Joe Hockey didn't believe the economic statement figures released by Treasury 10 days ago, and therefore he can't believe the Treasury's PEFO figures either. A view that he holds in opposition, but may not work if he's in government and has to actually work with a Treasury department he doesn't believe in. In the words of someone watching James Diaz trying to explain coalition policy, that's not going to happen. For The Roast, I'm Mark Humphries.
Thank you, Mark. Take a breath. Well, it's only been a whole day and a bit since Tony Abbott's suppository gaffe, but then just yesterday on the campaign trail, while discussing the similarities between Liberal candidate Fiona Scott and the former Liberal MP Jackie Kelly, Abbott described them as...
They're young,
It sounds good.
feisty.
Okay.
I think I can probably say have a bit of sex appeal.
Wait, what?
I think I can probably say have a bit of sex appeal.
No, I don't think you can. Not because it's not true, just because it's dumb. Saying someone has sex appeal is a compliment, definitely, but it's not a job qualification. The only time sex appeal is relevant for voting is if you're running for Miss Universe or Mr. Universe. It's not, gender isn't the point is, no one's going to vote for someone just because they're sexy.
Who to vote for? Who to vote for? What do you think, little buddy?
So thanks to this comment from Abbott, the guys at the Liberal Gaff Squad can step it up to condition red. Thank you. You see, in spruiking Fiona Scott's qualifications, what Tony Abbott should have said was something like, she is a smart, savvy, hard-working candidate who knows the electorate inside out.
She's a smart, savvy, hard-working candidate who knows the electorate inside out.
He nailed it, just several hours after he'd failed it with the whole sex appeal comment. So while Tony Abbott did a great job of correcting himself, what he should have said was nothing, because until 2 days ago, that tactic had worked beautifully, and he'd been relatively gaff-free. So let's check in with Clark Richards at the Coalition Gaff Squad to see just how damaging this latest gaff has been for the party. Clark, you've been embedded with Tony Abbott's Gaff Squad for some time now. How bad is this one?
Well, when you look at his track record of inappropriate comments about women, whether it's about a woman's right to have an abortion or whether women will ever be equals, this one's not so bad. but still pretty bad.
Yeah, but still, it's not good, Clark. I mean, Abbott's taken the attention away from Fiona Scott's qualifications and put it on the way she looks.
Oh, it's not good, it's bad. But after yesterday's gaffe, Abbott will be double sure not to say anything bad in the future. I mean, he was on the John Law show today talking about same-sex marriage, and I bet he didn't say a single stupid thing.
I'm not someone who wants to see radical change based on the fashion of the moment.
Can we change those days to minutes?
And finally tonight, Tony Abbott has announced that the Liberal Party will preference Labor above the Greens in his effort to avoid another minority government. The Greens' sole lower house representative, Adam Bandt, who got elected in 2010 largely on Liberal Party preferences, responded by saying, as much as the two old parties say they hate each other, perhaps they want to see us out of the Parliament even more. Yes, if by perhaps you mean the Liberal Party is about to fundamentally change its voting structure to ultimately damage its own electoral chances by increasing the Labor Party's chances of getting elected just to damage the Greens' chances more. Or perhaps it's not. But Abbott doesn't want to go alone in not preferring the Greens, saying, this is an absolute challenge for Mr. Rudd to show where he really stands, to decide what he really believes in, and I put it out there for him. Put the Greens last. Last, Adam Bandt. That means in your seat of Melbourne, the Liberal Party prefers the Labor Party, the Palmer United Party, the Stable Population Party, two independents, the Democratic Labor Party and the Sex Party. Abbott prefers the Sex Party to the Greens, a party whose policy platform includes wanting to legalise voluntary euthanasia, regulate and tax marijuana, allow same-sex marriage, and decriminalise personal drug use. So Adam Bandt, when you say perhaps they want to see you out of Parliament, there's really no perhaps about it. The Liberal Party hates you like the Sex Party hates not having sex at a party. Jazz Twemlow joins us for more in Canberra. Jazz, what do you think about this change?
Tom, in some ways this is a move towards a more democratic process.
So by trying to eliminate a party?
Oh, no, by having more honest preferences. If you vote for the Liberal Party based on their convincing position against gay marriage, abolishing the carbon tax that was working, and supporting their appalling stance on asylum seekers, and they don't get in, well, you wouldn't want your vote then going to an environmentally gay-friendly party that would make same-sex couples and dolphins happy, now would you?
I suppose not.
At least by making Labour the Liberal Party's preference, Abbott is ensuring that even if his party doesn't get a seat, someone almost identical will get in, rather than some asylum seeker-loving friend of the forest. I mean, how would you feel if the Sex Party's preference was the Abstinence Party? You'd feel betrayed. No, the Liberals don't want to deceive you by throwing your vote to someone they hate, even more than Labour. And that's why they've released this.
Kevin Rudd has run this country into the ground, but at least he turned up to the debate. Where was Greens leader Christine Milne? Too busy tweeting to show up to a debate Kevin Rudd couldn't even handle without notes. So come September 7, vote Liberal, because even if we lose, we'll vote Labor. So you don't vote Greens. The Liberal Party, we hate Labor, but we really hate the Greens.
Canberra.
Well, at least we are finally talking about a third party this election.
Yes, and if Abbott gets his way, it'll be the last time we hear about them.
OK, well then let's hear from the parties we will be talking about this election. James Diaz, take it away.
Do you want to just have a chance to redeem yourself and run through the 6 points, Mr. Diaz?
Do you know the 6 points or not?
Thank you.